Meeting to order for the Finance Committee in Southwick. This meeting is being recorded. Okay, first on the agenda is public comments.
Oh, 1 second, Mr. There you go.
Okay, so we call the meeting to order, and do we have any public comments? Hearing none.
We unmute.
Please be advised that there will be a roll call vote for all motions made on votes. And then the first item we have on the agenda is the minutes from, actually, I show minutes from April 27th as well. Does anybody remember if I don't think we voted on these. I think we pushed these.
I don't believe we voted on them.
I think we put it off till next time.
All right,
Let's
so
push it off again.
Okay. Do you want to make that as a motion? Table of.
I'll make that we vote on it later.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Arthur, thank you. All right, all those in favor of rescheduling the minutes for the next meeting? Bob Horacek, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
And Carrie isn't here, right? Okay. All right. 600. Now that I think about it, I'm wondering if we should have. Okay, and the meeting that we had on May 13th was a joint session with the Select Board. First of all, does anybody have any questions regarding the May 13th minutes? Any notes to make, any mistakes or anything else?
I'd push them off too. I haven't really read anything. I'd make a motion for that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. And any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Bob Horacek is aye. Sheila, Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
All right. So we're going to table the minutes from there. Cover letter for the budget book. Did anybody take a look at that? Does anybody have any suggestions?
I thought paragraphs 1 and 2 were okay to stay as is, but I would change paragraph 3 since, well, we do still have financial challenges, but I thought we should add something in there regarding the COVID virus, how it's impacted us financially, as well as a minimum of a 14% reduction in state aid for this upcoming year.
Has that been in the paper, Linda?
I've only heard it in the news. I don't get the paper.
Oh, okay, but I mean, I didn't know if it was I didn't know if that was up to. I mean, I'd heard 14%, but I didn't know if it was up to 14% or at least 14%.
I heard at least 14%.
Okay, so at least 14%. I had the state's fiscal situation has been further compromised due to COVID and business shutdown costs. That's obviously going to affect the taxes that the revenue stream that the state's going to get. We still have major financial issues facing the town, primarily related to our capital needs and infrastructure repairs, which have actually increased. Finding the means to pay for upcoming projects will still be challenging. Will be even more challenging due to at least a 14% reduction from the state's aid.
I'd
Yeah.
like to add something into there. Just saying, due to the uncertainty caused the coronavirus, just wherever you find a spot to put that in there.
Hi, everyone. It's Carrie Doherty. Sorry, for some reason, the Zoom meeting was asking me for a password and I couldn't get in. So.
Well, welcome, Carrie.
Absolutely. Introduction in state aid. At least. Yeah, I'm trying to find a place for that. Find the means for will be challenging, even more challenging due to at least 14% construction aid, but could be even more due to the, what'd you say, Terry, uncertainty?
Yeah.
Correct. Caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Because we don't know whether they're going to actually maybe even end up with some money by the end of, May next year, when they may end up coming up with money. So it's just uncertain.
Okay, no, but could it be even more? But could even, but could be even more reduced.
Well, I wouldn't complicate it. Just
Due to the uncertainty of the COVID pandemic. Last paragraph.
Bob, are you gonna send me or Robin the edits?
Yeah, is an email okay, Laura?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Anybody want to make a change in the only change I made is I just took out the Route 57 project completed, and I just started, we'll need to focus on filling the industrial park to add to the tax base and ease the burden on our residents.
That's what I had also, and the word ease is misspelled.
Right, I changed it.
Okay.
So can I have a motion, does anybody have any other changes that they want to make to this? Hearing none, can I have a motion to put forth is there a title for this, Laura? Finance Committee Introduction?
Yeah,
We'll just call it, all right, fine.
yeah, but
All right, can we approve this with the changes as discussed?
So
Motion.
moved.
And can I have a second?
second.
Okay, and is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Okay. I have to search for this every stupid time. All right. Okay, roll call vote. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda,
Aye.
Sheila,
Aye.
Art,
Aye.
Terry.
Aye.
I'm just gonna,
Tell me,
oh,
Mr.
sorry,
Wu.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna abstain just because I walked in halfway through your conversation.
That's fine. That's fine. Karen?
Aye.
Okay, and one abstention. Okay, so 601 for that vote. All right. Takes care of the cover letter. Old business. We have any, was there any old business that Robin talked about? Laura?
What, she had something, sorry.
I know the only thing that she had sent to me,
We have to do the pros and cons, but
right now, I'm not sure how we do this because her recommendation was under new business to vote to recommend the special town meeting and annual town meeting warrant articles that would have a financial impact. That way it would eliminate us having another meeting prior to June 19th. So I guess we're going to vote on those articles and then vote on, or then assign the pros and cons on those articles. I guess that's the only way we're going to be able to do that and not have another meeting before the town meeting. Does anybody have any objection to that?
how are we going to review the pros and cons? Are we just going to email whatever we do to the entire group for review?
I don't think we can do that with the open
No.
meeting laws.
I don't think so either.
I don't think we can.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
think,
think we have to do it together.
okay. All right. So, all right, so reserve fund transfer?
there's none.
There's none. Good. Okay. So then let's go to the fiscal 21 budget draft amendments and approval vote. I hope you all got a chance to look at the select board meeting. They made some additional cuts. They've asked for our support with respect to those.
The video isn't up yet for review, so nobody could listen to that.
I listened
Yes,
to
it
it.
was, Linda.
Was
I was,
it?
yeah, I was able to look at it.
I didn't find it. I looked today and I couldn't find it yet.
Linda, it's not on the town website. Bob emailed it to me, but I didn't have it until 30 minutes ago. So I've seen some of it, but it wasn't
Okay.
available to me before that.
I looked on the town website.
It's
and I
not on the
didn't-
town website.
Okay.
That's where they kept the cruisers and reduced the paving to $1 million.
It wasn't on the town website today, about an hour ago.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. No, we had sent, but I had sent out the link last week and because Doug had
The
got
link-
this one.
The link I got from you last week, Bob, it was an invitation to the meeting that we didn't go to. It didn't have the recording.
No, after that, like a day later, he sent it out.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know that I got that.
Sorry, Bob.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay.
I
We can
can,
go through, each, page and I can tell you where the cuts were made.
yep, I think that's what we're going to do, Laura. So go right ahead. I've got a copy of Carl's cheat sheet that they used. So I
No.
can follow along with that.
Yeah, as it relates to the budget. So under the selectmen operations, the 250th anniversary celebration, they made 0 instead of the 5,000.
Yep.
On page 2, under accounting, conference and travel, they reduced that down to $2,835.
Right, so they took 3,000 out, right?
They took 1,500 out of accounting and 1,500 out of treasurer, collector, clerk, TCC.
Okay, so that was a total of $3,000.
Yep.
Okay.
So under town clerk, conference and travel, that's reduced down to 2,500 on
Okay,
3. Page 6, under computer capital, the monitor upgrade, it brought down to 0. The assessor software upgrade down to 0, and the network printer down to 0. And with this, the thought is there is money under current year capital that was set aside for our virtual server. So with your board's permission, we would like to use that money to purchase this computer equipment and software
out of this year's budget.
out of this year's money, yeah.
Okay.
But we can do that at a separate vote, but that's what the thinking behind that one was.
Okay.
So we'll still be able to get to it.
Well, we're on the
So,
topic,
Mr.
Laura, I'm sorry?
Mr. Chairman, so does that mean that that will show up on a special town meeting to pay for those items, or it's going to be part of next year's budget? How's that working?
Well,
Those items?
we'll do, is that I can ask for a request from the FinCom committee to use this year's money to purchase these items during your meeting.
And that,
Okay, all right.
and
so-
that's good. So the question I have is that show up as a warrant article on the special, or is it rolled over
It's rolled
as part of the
over.
budget? Okay,
It's
all right, that's fine.
We're just
Thank you.
redirecting the funds, are we not?
Just redirecting the
Yeah,
funds.
We have existing funds that we're going to redirect, so that's what this vote's about. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's stay on point and stay on this topic and just get through it. So just to bring this on the floor, can I have a motion to approve utilizing those funds to pay for the assessor's computer needs and software needs?
So moved. The dollar amount would be $26,700.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
total?
No, I think it should be more.
Are you talking about the monitor upgrade too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Then it would be more.
31,200.
Yes. Make a motion as amended.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor of moving that to this year's budget and reappropriating that money? Bob Horacek, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Mr. Mish?
Aye.
Karen? Oop, I lost Karen. You're muted.
Aye, but you forgot Carrie.
Nope, I'm going to her next.
Oh, okay.
Carrie?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So you have that, the approval from the finance committee, Laura, you're good there.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Moving along.
Moving along. All right, on page 7, contracts and agreements under town hall. That was reduced down to $63,886. And then on grounds contracted services, reduced down to $40,760.
Okay, I've got just one line item, I think, on that with a total of $5,000.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
on page 9, as you know, they left in the cruisers, but the rifle and the shotgun, they took out.
Okay.
There was also a correction under the dispatch to increase the overtime by $15,000 to make it level funded because of that position that was cut out. They had originally had $15,000 in the overtime line that was helping cover those part of that position. So, so we were adding that back in.
Okay. And if anybody has any questions, please just jump in. Because I'd like to vote on these as a group as opposed to taking these all individually. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, sorry, I was just flipping to the next. So on page 13, under lake restoration operations, the consultant for the lake assessment and permitting reduced down to $10,000. And on that same page, under gas and oil, the gas and oil reduced down to $110,000.
So that's a reduction of 20,000, Laura?
Yep,
And the previous reduction on the lake restoration consultant was 5?
5, yep.
Okay.
And then on page 15,
Laura, I have a question on 14.
yeah,
Did they, it looks like here under the paving and infrastructure, it looks like it's marked as as 2 million instead of the 3 million, but is it really 1 million now?
it's really 1 million. It's 1 million now. I think that was just, yeah, I didn't update that to say the 1 million. And then it's moved down to principal and interest.
Okay.
All right, so I don't know, page 15. So, under DPW road machinery capital, the tractor with the mower attachments, that was, originally 80,000, they removed that, made it 0.
Okay.
Oh, I disagree with that, though. I think we need to get that.
That the vehicle that we have currently, the Kubota tractor and the mower, is currently in operation. I think there was a statement or question at the selectmen's meeting whether or not it was functioning at this point, and it is. Seen it going down the road yesterday, day before, whenever, last week. Saw it going out of the parking lot this morning. So that unit is still functional. It's not pretty. It's kind of wobbly, but still working. FYI.
All right, well, I won't hold it up for further voting then.
Okay.
Okay, I think I've got everything Laura, on the list. that-
Yeah, and I think we just added in the debt service, you know, for the $1 million. And so on page 20, the fire station masonry replacement,
Mhm.
55,000. And then road work 2021 is $100,000 that we added. And then page 21, the interest on the fire station roof masonry replacement
Mhm.
is $22,550. And the road work is $15,000.
Do we have debt that's gonna be rolling off to replace that, Laura?
I'd have to look at that.
Okay,
I don't know. Yeah. Let me, can get back to you.
that's fine. That's fine. So, and the first set of reductions that we made, or that the select board made, that we've just gone through, totals about 261,718, I think. Is that, or I don't know if you have that figure, or, yeah, 261. I can't read Carl's writing.
I think with all the changes, it comes to 317,006.
Okay, I don't have the debt service changes
Yeah.
in here.
Oh, in there, yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, and unless anybody wants to go further into this, I'd like a motion to accept the further cuts that the select board has made and be in agreement with them.
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion relative to?
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Question, do we have to vote on a number as opposed to what we're doing right now? Do we have to actually have a number? And do we actually have a number? Final budget amount?
You mean the entire budget?
Yeah.
Or you mean just these additional cuts?
The final number, including all the cuts. I mean, it's a question. I'm not saying that we have to have a number. I know what we're trying to accomplish. My question is, technically, do we have to have a number to vote on? Rather than just saying, yeah, we're going to copy the selectmen.
Well, I think Laura has got a number. I think you just gave it to me, 300 and something thousand. When you add in the debt service, Laura?
Yeah, when we add in all the changes, yeah.
So do we have a final total budget amount?
I don't know. That's a kind of a question for Laura. I would think that it'd be tough to put together.
Well, I'll look on our printouts that we got. Each department is totaled on there, and we accept their changes, and we just go by the dollar amount under their line, or their column, I should say. So we could
Okay.
go department by department.
No, I'm not suggesting that we have to do that, but
You want to know what the bottom
No.
line is?
Bottom line is,
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
so for the general fund, if you look on page 21, it's the 10,740,000 479,000.
Can you repeat that, please?
10,700,479.
Okay. So my question is, should we vote the number? Or just more generalize it?
Well, Laura, are the two roads that were taken out at the bottom of that, well, of Carl Sheet, totaling about $280,000, is that also in that $10 million figure?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
reduction between the 2 million to down to the 1 million for the roads. So that was 115. That was in the debt service.
Okay, so, and then the first one I had was, okay, 2 million down to 1 million gave us $165,000 principal and interest savings. And then the one,
That's just showing that if you cut it out completely.
oh, if we remove the 1 million down to zero, okay.
Right, so that one.
All right. And is that what the select board did? Because I don't remember that from the meeting. I thought, did they bring it down to zero?
No, they brought it down to 1 million.
Oh, okay, all right. So really all right, so there's another 165,000 off of there by reducing the roads from 2 million to 1 million annually.
Right, and if you look at your budget, you see the select board's third cuts, and then the finance committee, the budget, yours is at 11 million. So that's where you can go through and see the exact changes.
Okay,
I have a technical question.
okay.
Technical question. Hello?
Yeah, hello?
This is Terry. Can I pipe in?
Yes,
All right. My question is that when we had this before with the selectmen, I thought that the changes that we made at that time needed to be voted by us. Whatever it was, they zeroed something out where we had money in there, and I thought we had to have a separate vote. And I don't know if we did it that night or whether we needed to do that like now.
I don't know.
I just,
Are you saying from a legal standpoint, Terry, we should vote on each one of these changes individually?
no, not at all. But in my notes here, I said that I had written down that we needed to vote on it, like as a committee. Just stupid stuff like, I don't know, one of the things was for the agricultural committee, they put in 500 and we said 0. I don't know whether if we voted on the changes the last meeting or not. I mean, I think we can just, omnibus this and just, the changes that we've made, we're all voting for the previous changes made and these current changes made.
Yeah, I would frankly look for a motion to approve $10,700,479, including the changes discussed in the meeting tonight, to be in agreement with the select board.
And the previous ones also. The previous.
I think we voted the previous ones.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
I didn't think we did, but I mean, you could just do it now and just make sure.
Because I thought you had to go back to your meeting to vote it. I think we were doing the working, but I thought you guys had to vote it at your meeting. So
Are you talking about these changes? Or you're talking about the changes we agreed?
Before the other
The other
changes.
changes.
So I think if you incorporate both sets of changes, you'll be covered.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So I,
Can I have a motion to approve any and all changes made to the budget, which now totals $10,700,479 for
Fund.
fiscal
That's
2020.
1. So moved.
Have a second.
second,
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda,
Aye.
Sheila,
Aye.
Art,
Aye.
Mr. Mish,
aye.
Karen,
Aye.
and Carrie.
Aye.
Okay, well, thank you. 770. Okay. Okay, assignment of pros and cons on,
Wait, we still have the water, sewer,
oh,
and EMS.
okay.
But were there changes to those?
There weren't changes.
Because we already approved those numbers, I thought.
Okay.
Yep, that was my recollection as well. I thought we had done the other changes too. Um, So do you have records? Actually, you know what? Let's take a quick look. Don't see in the last 2 minutes. I don't see in the last 2 minutes that we voted on that. So just to be on the safe side, Laura, the budgets that you just mentioned, the ones that in there,
The water.
water, sewer.
Do you want the amounts or you just want to do,
No, we better do the amounts.
okay. Okay. So the water,
Sorry, go ahead.
if you have them, or if somebody has them and wants to make the motion.
I make a motion, we accept the budget for the water division of $682. The EMS budget of $913,297. And where's the other?
Sewer.
Of $1,443,000, 436.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda,
Aye.
Sheila,
Aye.
Art,
Aye.
Mr. Mish,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Okay. Passed unanimously. So we took care of that. Okay. So pros and cons for the warrant articles. Laura, did you mark off which articles that we're going to have to be concerned with?
No, sorry.
All right, don't feel badly because I didn't print it. So,
So the special,
Well, the three on the
with the special town meeting, those are,
financial.
Yeah. I had a question on Article 1 also.
okay.
And I apologize, I didn't go back last year and look. But town hall part-time is $21,000.
Yes.
Do we have somebody out sick?
We've had a numerous, we had to backfill one position where one of the members passed away. We've had several FMLA in workers' comp leaves. We've had bereavement time. We've had extra for covering during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. And then fire department clerical for 4,200, that seems kind of high also. Well, actually custodial seems high too.
Were you here last time when we talked about that with the selectmen? Linda?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, yeah, we chewed through that.
All right, so are you guys comfortable with it?
Yeah, it's down considerably from what they had originally asked for.
So we're still, okay, all right.
I said, I piped up on how you felt, Linda, for you.
Thank you.
So we need somebody to do pros and cons on that. That's pretty much a housekeeping piece of business that we use every year. Oh, wow, that's right. I forgot. I moved that. I'm trying to understand Robin's. If we were going to vote on that, we'd still have to vote on the pros and cons, unless we're going to write each pro and con tonight.
No.
Shoot me now.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, I think we vote on the articles and then we see who's going to do the pros and cons and move, and then we have to set up another meeting to review everything, then we do that. The hard part would be is that maybe we need to send everything to Robin after we've written the pros and cons, and then she can put it in a document and we have to post another meeting to review those pros and cons.
Do we have a copy of the pros and cons from last year? Because some of them are similar, like some of the housekeeping ones. We just tweak them instead of start from scratch.
Yeah, I bet the pros and cons are still on the website from last year.
Okay.
Right. There's a lot of the annual meeting stuff that's all the same, and a lot of the stuff on the that special things that are all the same. And then we can just use those. No need to change them. Stuff like the CPC. I mean, a lot of that's just anyway. So use the same. Yeah.
Laura, I have a question on Article 2. Don't we usually get reimbursed for any overages on snow and ice removal?
Now, this is the same article.
Oh,
We
So
just
that's
use our free cash to fund any deficit.
okay,
But we do this, it's the same
okay,
article as last year.
all right. Those are housekeeping articles that we normally just pass. Okay. And the OPEB funds
The OPEB, yeah,
are something that we usually do every year.
yeah,
So that's special town meeting, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So why don't we take the special town meeting and vote on that first. That way it won't get convoluted. Can I have a motion to approve Article 1, 2, and 3 on the special town meeting?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. So any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Mr. Mish?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Great. Okay. Passed unanimously. All right. Does anybody have any preferences? You want to sign those articles now, or do you want to just go back and assign them all at once and just go through the budget and vote on the articles now and then assign them afterwards? I just assume go through and let's just assign them afterwards.
I would too.
Okay.
We know how many we have, and some of us might say, oh, that one I'm passionate about. I want to talk about, you know. I'd like to go through them all first and then decide on who's going to do what.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, so that takes care of the special town meeting.
Looks like Article 6 is the first one.
That's what I have too. And there's a typo on Article 6 for the title. Is it reconstruction?
Yeah,
Okay. Terry, I'm sorry to step on your toes. I know that's your forte.
Okay.
Word money.
All right. So they reduced the roads down to 1 million. We got $1.1 million for the fire station project. Laura, do you know how many of these articles we actually have that are concerning to the finance committee? Concern to the finance committee?
well, that's what I was, let me see. 6, 7. I'm just trying to look at the doings from last year.
10.
I don't know whether 8 and 9, if you do anything on the revolving. The annual, the 9 is definite. I don't. And I don't know.
Yeah, Article 8, money would be put in there.
Put in there, so 8 would be,
Yeah, that would be a new revolving fund.
yeah.
Yeah.
And annual budget would be one.
Budget would be, yeah.
Departmental Article 10 would be one.
11 CPC.
Right, even though that we don't, I mean, we weigh in on their projects, but not on their administration.
No, okay.
Um,
Because 11 and 12 look like more administration.
Administration.
I think we go to 13.
We've
Yes.
always done 11 and 12.
We have?
Yes.
We've always done 11 and 12.
Yeah, that's probably just using last year's.
Yes. Yeah, because it's the
Yeah.
same ruling that it's part of the agreement that we have with the state.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's
So,
13, 14, 15,
I don't know.
16.
16. yeah.
13, 14, 15,
And
16.
16. They're all the CPC.
I think we have to do all the rest of them from
18. Yeah, 17 and 18.
okay, so,
or 6 on.
I think pretty much
Yeah.
got them all.
so 6 through 19 then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So fun.
The school budgets, both the 17 and 18, could be, and the CPC stuff other than the individual requests for money. That's all just canned stuff that we can just use the same stuff from previous years.
Oh, you're talking about the pros and cons, Terry?
Correct.
Yep, I think you're right.
Linda?
Yes.
Well, I think we need to be talking about the school committee budget.
Thank you.
I was on I was on a 2-hour seminar with DESI today, and they said that we're gonna pretty much likely gonna be going back to a month-by-month budget from them, payments, amounts, and we're gonna be lucky to get the same amount we got last year. It probably won't be an increase. It could be a decrease. So the money coming in from the state for the schools is iffy, and it could be less.
That is my understanding, but the school has not replied to any request for additional information, even to merely update us on what might be down the road too.
Honestly, whatever school looks like in the fall coming back could cost us more money, not less.
Yes.
And so some of the concerns that I have are, is this really the year that we go to private busing and spend $40,000 extra when that money might be needed for children?
What do you mean 40? She has $542,000 extra instead of the 30 that she originally told us.
Well, there we go then. I think those are the types of things. I know we don't get to vote on their budget, but we absolutely do get to state pros and cons, and I don't think we should be just writing last year's pros and cons for the school budget.
Is the school system are they currently planning though for, the possibility of continuation of remote learning? I mean, I think all schools are in the same boat right now where it's really up in the air.
What they said on the seminar today at DESI is they're hoping and doing all they can that we can return to buildings in some form or other in a way that is safe in September, but that we might well end up going remote again. So we have to prepare for both.
There's still a lot of unknowns. And the other piece of it too is that for schools, there's going to be, I would assume, some additional expenses related to COVID-19 protection against, just contamination,
Masks.
class sizes, right, masks, PPE, hand sanitizer, partitions.
Bus runs, because the kids are gonna have to sit every other row,
Mm-hmm.
one to a seat every other row. That's what they're saying.
So I have a logistical question then. If I'm assuming that they probably don't know at this point in time what their budget needs are going to be for the fall. So I guess what happens if there's a major change in what their anticipated expenses are just to run school safely?
At that point,
Where does that money come from?
I would think for us to even to be able to talk about it, since they're only allowed to come to us once, they'd have to get approval from the governor to even approach us again, which I can't see why they wouldn't approve that, given this unprecedented situation. But they updated the select board, or at least a member of the select board, on a few things. And I was just wanting us to receive that same update so we knew what was going on for this exact reason, because I understand none of us can predict what's going to happen in September, but do they have a plan B? What is their backup plan for some of this stuff, just in case? And what are they working on? Are they working on plan A, B, C, D? That's kind of what I was looking for. And I don't know. I think if things stay the way that they are now, I don't know that they physically could have the kids back in school. I think it's impossible just on the busing aspect for one, but also for high school kids. I mean, the plan I heard is that from another source that I was reading is kids would come in, they'd stay in their room, have the separation, but everything is done in the room. But you can't do that for high school students because they rotate their classes. So I don't know. There's so many options out there right now. We literally have so many webinars every week with, what might or might not happen. It's just a moving target right now.
It's very likely, like what Gateway is proposing for next year is that every student comes into the building twice a week, and the other days they Zoom into their classes from home.
Yeah.
That's the proposal at Gateway. They're also asking the teachers for a furlough, which isn't going over well.
Well, so it's going to have to be unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
Well, can we maybe hold off on this as far as, voting for the budget, or just vote for the budget? And they're going to have to figure out, somebody's going to have to figure out, probably the state's going to have to figure out what additional things that are going to be required anyway. They're going to call the ball on that. So we really won't know until they
Yeah, but I think we do need to be able to articulate our concerns on the pros and cons. Like if we just say yes or no or whatever, we have to be able to say why.
I don't remember doing pros and cons for the school, but maybe I'm wrong.
I can look at that quick.
Now, Linda, is the busing a done deal?
Yes, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal. So they don't even they didn't leave themselves options by keeping the busing here in town.
I got a text from Steve, and he is in on the Zoom meeting right now, so he could answer questions for us if that would help.
Because it would be easier and we would have more options if the busing was still in Southwick, whereas we are limited to what they can do for 8 communities with the LPVs, wherever all the letters are.
Well,
do we want to ask Steve? Go ahead, Terry.
I was going to say is that if they're only going to have the students in the building, you know, whatever, a couple days a week anyway, then maybe they can figure one town has, you know, we should cut our buzzing costs by quite a bit.
Oh, I don't think so. You're going to have half the number of students allowed on a bus because they're going to be sitting every other seat, one to a bus. So it's going to be a quarter of who could normally ride a bus on each run. So I don't think
So
buses are going to be cheaper.
So is the collaborative actually going to have the capacity to make that many bus runs? Whereas if we still had the busing here, we could even do it like an A week, B week. You know, we would have so many more options of what we could do if the busing was still here in town.
Possibly. Without the scenarios written out, there's some parts I think we could handle. Other parts I don't know. It depends on what the school decides. But Steve is on listening in on the meeting here. Do you guys want to allow Steve to explain where they are with everything?
Please join the meeting, Steve. One of the questions I have is, what if the schools don't open? Are we still paying the bus company to run routes? What's the contract stipulate?
Good question.
Is he on the phone?
I thought
There's
so.
somebody down there that's muted, and I'm not sure who that is.
Oh, Steve wants to know how he unmutes.
Okay, is he,
Lower left corner. And bring his cursor down to the lower left corner. And
is he 6350? Is that him?
Yes, I bet that's him.
Okay. Steve, is that you?
It is. You guys successfully unmuted me. I didn't have to do a thing. Thank you. Yeah, so I think, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address some of the concerns. There certainly are plenty of them at your end and at our end. I think you are sort of hitting the nail on the head with the absence of information and direction and guidance from the state level, which the potential scenarios are almost limitless as to what this looks like. So the challenges around planning for what the next school year will look like from a financial standpoint are largely dependent on what the school year is going to look like in a physical sense. And some of the scenarios that were just being brought up or being discussed are the same kinds of things that we're hearing and starting to explore. Rotating schedules where only a smaller number of students, maybe as few as 25 to 30% of the students are in the school at any given point in time. Linda's comment about the challenges around high school is spot on because the students really do need to rotate for various subjects and to access certain facilities and equipment that are located by classroom. At the elementary level, it's a bit easier to accomplish keeping the students as isolated or reducing the amount of time they're roaming through the building. All that said, it largely depends on guidance that we need from DESE, although we are actively engaged in exploring these options and doing it in concert with the other member districts of the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative. We share the transportation for the 2021 school year, but also the vocational program, some limited special education services. So for the superintendents and the school administrations to kind of be working together as part of the collaborative is something that needs to happen and is being pursued. The superintendents working with the other superintendents actively on what some of the options might be and how we could do it without causing problems for another district. Just to, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but so just to kind of recap where we are with respect to budget, the committee did pass a budget or adopted a budget back in late March, which we relied on just under $200,000 in discretionary assessments from the 3 towns. The rest of the lion's share of the budget relied on the revenue numbers put forward by Governor Baker in his budget proposal in late January. Since that time, obviously, so many things have changed. We're closely following the effect of this pandemic on state revenues and potential impact on local governments, our member towns. So in response to knowing that we were looking at some difficult financial times, the committee made a decision, the school committee made a decision to rescind that original budget, shift some revenue sources, and make some basically do some things that resulted in eliminating the discretionary assessment, but still relied on the revenues that the governor had put forth in the cherry sheet, simply because that's the only number that we had. Anything else would have been taking a wild swing in the dark. So the budget that the town received from the school district still relies on those revenue numbers that the governor had put forth. It seems pretty likely that that's not going to be the numbers that hold. The committee, in response to kind of that news, has well, let me back up a little bit. So the legislature, along with the commissioner of education, made some revisions to the temporary budget statute. Basically, if a school district doesn't have a approved budget by the start of the new fiscal year, the commissioner has always had the authority to set what they refer to as a 1/12 budget. It's essentially just a temporary budget that limits our spending levels to, in any month, to 1/12 of the previous year. In this case, the fiscal 20, it would be fiscal 20 that we'd be looking at. Your spending is limited to that level. What they did was gave the commissioner a little bit of leeway, I think, with the new regulation, which basically said he can approve a temporary budget not less than the FY20 level. So the assumption there is that he could approve it for a level that's higher than the approved FY20 level. And some of the reasons why he might do that, and we raised this question on one of the Zoom meetings that DESE had conducted a couple of weeks back, is that if a district has other district-controlled resources, such as E&D or revolving funds, things like that could be applied to help reduce the assessments to the member towns, but still try to maintain a spending level that doesn't decimate programs. Would that be something that the commissioner would approve? And we got a maybe on that. So we are in the process. DESE released a form and guidance late last week to all regional school districts, because the assumption is that many regional school districts will not be able to get an approved budget by July 1st, just based on their member towns and their inability to conduct annual town meetings. So we have completed the form. We're working on the narrative that will go with it, and we will get that off to the commissioner within the next couple of days.
and then wait to find out what they decide to do in terms of establishing or setting this temporary or 1/12 budget. In the meantime, we have an annual town meeting scheduled in Tolland for June 1st, and Southwick's on the 16th, and Granville is on the 17th. So the meetings are happening actually in time to approve a budget and avoid the temporary budget that the commissioner would set if the towns aren't so inclined to vote in favor of the budget. To the extent that there are that the revenue picture gets more bleak, and actually in preparation for a temporary budget that would be set to the FY20 levels, we have gone through a process of identifying spending reductions. It's mostly in human resources. It's the only way you can achieve significant cuts like that, to the tune of about $850,000 in the event that we have to revert to this 1/12 budget at the FY20 level. We've identified the cuts based on the contractual and statutory requirements that go along with our collective bargaining agreements. We've notified folks that need to be notified, and even some that the timing isn't required. But in fairness to the employees, we've notified them that their positions would be eliminated either effective with July 1st or with the start of the new fiscal year. So we have a contingency plan now. Should funding be restored to levels above the FY20, or our spending authorization be restored above the FY20 level, we have the ability to recall those employees or some number of those employees as the budget would permit. Beyond that, we are also hearing that there could be further erosion even below FY20 education funding levels, although it's rumor right now, and it's based on just the negative news around the state's tax collection efforts, and but in knowing that it actually could be a reality, we are going through additional steps to identify further contingency plans for additional reductions should it be necessary. So we're actively working on that. But bottom line, kind of what you guys were talking about earlier is that nobody really knows. So we're hopeful that a House Ways and Means committee budget will get released sometime in June or maybe early July, and that will we feel that will set a clear direction for what we think the funding levels would be at the state level. There's another comment I wanted to make, and it's escaping me right now.
If you're staying on those, Steve, and if it comes back to you, just let us know.
Okay.
I will.
Steve, were you involved with the contract on the busing?
I was involved in the analysis to determine what that might look like from a financial standpoint, and how it could be done if that's a direction that the school committee wanted to pursue.
Okay, specifically, I mean, if the schools don't open, are we bound to pay for that service as if the schools were open?
Well, I can't say for sure, Bob. I would think not, but let me tell you how it played out in the current fiscal year with the closure that started back in mid-March. And that is that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education encouraged districts to continue to pay basically to secure services when school resumed, thinking initially that this was going to be a shorter shutdown than it turned out to be. So our district, which had its own employees providing those transportation services, continued to pay those folks. We've taken steps to engage them in some tasks. Admittedly, it's not their typical, they're not pulling the same number of hours they normally would, but we're continuing to pay them. They're doing some bus maintenance things, professional development. Linda's probably got more details on all of it than I can give you. But and the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative essentially doing the same thing, continuing to pay their employees. I'm not sure, and I don't really get a vote in this, but it seems unlikely to me that if we have if we start the 2020-21 school year in a remote only arrangement or scenario, it seems unlikely to me that there'll be support across the collaborative districts to continue to pay drivers and monitors for services that are not being rendered. So that's only my suspicion or my guess based on the meetings that I've been in with the other school business officials of the collaborative districts, the superintendents of the collaborative districts, and some informal discussions that we've had internally in our admin group. How this would actually play out, I can't say for sure, but that's kind of how I think it would, based on things that I've been privy to.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Anybody else have any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question if Steve is still there.
Yep.
Steve, Art Pennell.
Oh, hi, Art.
How you doing? Thank you for helping us out tonight. It's kind of a general question. Is it unreasonable to expect that the member towns would see a change to their minimum contributions based on, again, generally speaking, a direct reduction in the state aid to the school district? Is there any way to generally address or look at that at this point?
I wish I could, Art, because that's the $1 million question, I suppose, right? But I've heard two completely opposite scenarios around this, and one of them is that, and in talking about this, the other thought I had came back to me, so I want to make sure I don't lose that again. That if the state were to, one scenario is this, that the Chapter 70 or foundation budget formula would remain intact. So to determine how much each school district theoretically needs in order to operate effectively, that formula would stay intact. The Student Opportunity Act, which was supposed to enhance that funding formula, they're now saying that they used to refer to it as the SOA, Student Opportunity Act. They're now referring it to it as the DOA, or Dead on Arrival Student Opportunity Act. So, so it doesn't look,
that doesn't sound good.
Steve,
no.
Were you on the webinar today from 2 to 4?
I was not. I was in a different Zoom meeting, so I wasn't able to get to that one.
It was voted in as permanent. It was
oh, okay.
Yeah, it was voted. That was one thing that they said, we don't want it to be tentative anymore. It's permanent, and that was voted in.
So I'm sorry, I didn't quite.
I don't know, but they said they were making that a permanent thing.
Okay.
And I just got a message from Agawam, who uses LPVEC busing, and they are still paying for busing even though students aren't ready.
Right. right.
Now,
So I've heard a scenario where if the foundation budget formula stays intact, but the state reduces its share of funding, that the balance would fall to the local communities. Doesn't seem fair. Can't imagine they'd actually do that, but I have heard that being discussed. And then I've heard that that the formula would be modified or changed to allow for reductions to both the state and the local side. So which way it's going to go, I wish I had the answer. Or it would make this a hell of a lot more bearable.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your position, and it just means that we have to be all the more cautious in everything that we're doing here.
Right. The other thought that I wanted to mention earlier that slipped my mind is that and I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds with the committee, but essentially if we move forward with the current budget as adopted by the school committee, and then numbers change where we do see a drastic reduction or any material reduction in either state aid or required local contributions due to the impact that the towns are feeling with their revenue collection, that the committee is committed to relooking at and making the commensurate changes to the operating budget. So that there's been agreement on that from the committee members on the finance subcommittee and the superintendent. There's no formal action taken by the full school committee in the way of a vote or an action item, but that has been the discussion that if we have a budget that's passed and then we find out that the revenues aren't there to actually support that, we would obviously relook at that, make the necessary adjustments, and then come back to the three towns with an yet another amended budget.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. So we're back to the budget and articles was it 6 through 19.
Yes.
Can I just say something?
Sure, please.
I have sent you all an email. In that email is the pros and cons from the last annual town meeting.
Thank you.
I went through and you'll see the old article and then you'll see what the new article would be for this town meeting. There are many instances where the article from last year could be revised slightly to work with this particular town meeting. And there's also our standard ones are also listed here.
Perfect.
So I'm looking at it where you only really need to do a pros and cons for Articles 8, 14, 16, and 19. All the rest are standard, or we have an article already in the pros and cons that would work with some word changes.
Okay. Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
All right, Article 16, and maybe I don't know the terminologies here, but talks about interest and principal payment on the $600,000 ban issued for the alum treatment. Should it be ban or should it be loan? Or is ban a word I just don't understand?
Ban is,
It's a terminology that we use. It's a loan, you know. It's a bond anticipation note is what it stands for.
Okay. Learn something new every day.
So can we vote on on Articles 6 through 19? Is everybody ready to vote on those? Or,
Give me a minute to look through them.
I'm sorry?
Give me a minute to look through them. I just want to read, I want a few minutes to look at them.
Okay, sure, please. Go right ahead. The reason I suggested we take all of these, I didn't see anything that jumped out at me where we would not want to approve one of the articles. So if there is anybody who doesn't want to, who isn't voting to approve all of them, then we should take them individually or take them as a different group or whatever. So, and certainly that's a prerogative. But I didn't see anything that was jumping out at me that I was going to vote no on. So,
Do we not vote on the school debt authorization?
yeah, isn't that 19, I think, or 18?
18.
That's 18.
Right.
Okay, it's just not on Mel's list that we had done it last year, but I thought we did because it's no different than the school budget.
Oh, maybe the last page didn't come out. I'm sorry.
I've got a
Last
blank.
page. My last page didn't come out, but yes, it is on there.
Okay. Honestly, it's the only one that I'm hesitant about
Okay.
because we've just gone in and we've cut probably 2.5 million off of the town budget with everything. So I'm nervous that if things stay as they are, or God forbid, get even worse, should we be asking for those capital improvements not to be done, just like we've asked every other town department not to do certain things? I mean, we cut $2 million off of road repairs. So I know it's a large amount of money. So if I'm being petty about it,
No, I don't think you're being petty. I think you're being absolutely right. So if nobody has an objection, then let's do Articles 6 through 16, I think. And we'll leave 17, 18, 19, actually 17 and 18. And then,
Do we even need to do 19?
yeah, I was just looking at that, Sheila. I mean, there is a cost that's going to be incurred by doing quarterly billing. But
This would be easy enough to do, to vote on and write pro and con for, so
Yeah,
if in doubt, do it.
yeah, vote on it. Okay, so why don't we do 6 through 16? And we'll leave 17 and 18 alone, and then we'll vote on 19 individually. Does that sound okay to everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
I have a question. What do you mean leave it alone? What does that mean for the school issue?
We're gonna vote on that separately.
No, look, vote on that separately, I mean.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so,
So I move that we approve Articles 6 through 16.
okay, second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. All right, roll call vote. Bob Parachak, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Mr. Mish?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Great, thank you. And Articles 17 and 18.
And honestly, my only concern is 18 would, and just being kind of consistent with what we've done before. But what I don't remember is if the capital improvements there, if that falls under the minimum contribution to where we'd be below what we're required to be. I don't remember if those figures are part of that.
Yeah, and the other question that I have along those lines is that 135,000 that is in Article 18, is that already calculated into Article 17?
No.
Usually it's not.
It's not. Okay. So
Can
then
can we see if Steve is still on and ask him about the both of the questions that you and I had, Bob?
Yeah.
Because I want to know if the water heater, is that in a dire situation that it would need to be replaced? The concrete could probably go, and then the technology, is that technology to support remote learning further? Because that might be an easy yes, we need to include it.
Right.
Right.
They've been on a technology plan. Yeah.
Yep.
Why don't we turn it over to Steve and let him address it?
Is he still
Sure.
there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you for indulging me again. So the original request that the committee had voted on for borrowing, this was obviously before all this went down, was, and I don't have the exact number right in front of me, but it was something north of $500,000. That number, based on what we saw taking place, we did not, the committee, the administration, nobody felt comfortable coming to the towns looking for borrowing authorization. We knew that the towns were going to be making cuts to their capital plans and acquisitions. So we did lower it to, I think you said it was 135. Those things were more for safety or building security type. So as well as the technology piece, which you did hit the nail on the head with that, in order to be able to continue to support the remote learning and on-campus learning. We do need to replace some equipment. So that spending is more around replacing, that technology spending is more around replacing infrastructure, servers, the optical network terminal system that we use, which brings fiber optics right to every classroom and every learning space in the building. Those units are up for replacement, and we're trying to leverage E-rate funding to be able to significantly reduces the overall cost of the project. We get the E-rate program to pay for 60%, and the district share is 40%.
that we would finance, and the initial debt service on that would be assessed in FY22. So you would not see the assessment in FY21 is not affected by this. We would be borrowing the money in FY21 with the principal and interest payments due in fiscal 22 for the first time. The water heater, we have, there are 2 units there. They are both leaking now. They're not actively being used. So I guess they were leaking while still in service. They've both been taken out of service. So the end result of that is there is no hot water to a particular wing of the building. This is something that the MSBA project did not replace. So that we're talking, 30-year-old, maybe older domestic hot water heater that supplies the gymnasium area for Powder Mill School, and we're sizing the original units were sized to be able to handle showers when the school was used as a high school. The showers are they're just not used by anybody any longer. And so we've sized down the equipment to be more appropriate for the use that the building is getting right now, and that we anticipate it getting for the foreseeable future. So we did lower the borrowing authorization request. Certainly understand the pressures that the towns are under, and we do feel that certainly the Woodland front sidewalk is turning into a safety issue. Again, another one of those things that was not addressed by the MSBA project. It's basically the newest wing of that building, that front section, and MSBA indicated early on that they weren't going to participate with a reimbursement program for anything in that wing. Except I think we maybe got some paint or some ceiling tiles or something.
Okay. Thanks for that explanation. That helps a lot.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Any other discussion on those? Any concerns?
Nope.
Well, looks
Okay.
good.
Linda, you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve Articles 17 and 18 as submitted.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. I keep doing this to myself. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Mr. Mish?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
And Carrie?
Aye.
Okay, passed unanimously. Mel, did you say we had to do 19 or?
I mean, you don't have to, but I mean,
There isn't a dollar amount attached to it. We know
No.
it costs more money, but there isn't a dollar attached to it. So I think that's fine for as it is.
Okay.
You know, if Michelle wants us to come out and support it, then we can do that in the short meeting before the we can do it in the short meeting before the town meeting. Okay, so you've sent out the pros and cons.
I did.
Okay.
So we really only have to do, even the special town meeting, the pros and cons are the same as what we had last year,
Yes.
or would apply to that. So we
Yes.
would only have Article 8 and let's see, 8, 14, and 16 that we need to do from scratch.
Yes.
Okay.
And Article 14, in Article 14, it would probably just your wording, because it's a community preservation and you're going from signage to, what do they want to do? What did they do last year? They wanted money for the playground. So it would be probably a very similar article, just wordage.
Okay.
So when do you need the pros and cons by?
Did she say?
While you look that up, my train of thought is not that I want to spend the night on Zoom, but if most of the pros and cons are going to be similar, maybe we just do it and don't come back another night. Dead silence.
Well, we gotta sign them, you know, and
We did them once as a group, and then, you know, Robin typed them up from the notes, and we were done. It's just that it seems silly to divide them all up between us if most of them are going to stay the same, and there's only a few that need to be discussed. Just my thought.
no, that's fine. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull that, let me see if I can pull that email.
Well, Article 18 is establishing a new revolving fund. And I think before,
Would have been,
let's see.
Personally, I just as soon as sign it, have it, in time to look at it and check the differences, and then do what we talked about, sending them to Robin, typing them up, firm it out, and then maybe it's something that takes 15 minutes to do instead of, 2 hours that we're almost into now.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'd like to look them over, and because there's some that I might be able to run right through and just send in, because they're, you know, as Mel said, they're very close to the same article as last year. And then, I can contact you individually or ask Robin to send out, here's the articles that we want to do pros and cons on, who wants to take what or whatever. And we can do that. And then we can do, a quick half-hour meeting, vote on it. It's actually one of the nice things about doing it on Zoom. We could have a quick half-hour meeting. But so,
Yeah.
does that sound okay to everybody?
I will tell you, I don't mind just reading over the special town meeting ones and then the ones here that Mel sent us and just tweak it as needed and, send that to Robin for her to share with all of us.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to volunteer for any articles because I currently have email that is not in service. So I don't want to get involved in something I can't deal with electronically.
No worries, Art. Okay. So we won't send you any.
So we need someone to write up Article 8, Article 14, and Article 16.
Okay.
I can work on one. Doesn't matter which one.
Let's see.
Sorry, this is Carrie.
So 14 is community, is right to farm signage. They're gonna, those are, well, 14 and 16 are the alum debt service. That's actually coming out of community preservation. So just to support those two, those are pretty easy. 19 was the quarterly tax system, and 8 is the revolving fund. Laura?
Yeah.
Why are they establishing a revolving fund for those permits? Or they haven't had one before?
No, they have not had one set up for the local receipts. They've been going into a general fund account.
The general fund account.
Yep.
Okay, so what was the reason for setting up the revolving fund for them on those permits? Because wouldn't that money, instead of going to the general fund, then go right into their
It would go right into their revolve account, and then they could use that money for some of their things. But yeah, I'd have to get, more reasoning, the exact reasoning.
Okay.
Would that mean they would no longer use the general funds?
That's a good
Well,
question.
they would still use general funds, but they want to establish the revolving account for the local permitting fees that they collect.
I'll take that one if nobody wants it.
Sure, Carrie. I was going to take it, but I'll let you.
Let's take 14.
Okay, 14. Is that you, Carrie?
Sheila.
Sheila. Okay, 14 is his community preservation, and 16 is the alum debt service. And so Sheila's got.
I can take 16. It's Carrie.
Carrie, you take 16. If you have any questions on that, just give me a ring. And Sheila's taking that. I'll take 19 unless anybody else wants it.
Do we want to vote on 19? I think we said we weren't going to, but maybe we should just vote
Oh,
on it.
okay, that's right. We had that written down, but. So we
Seems
just,
like it wouldn't take much to add it and then we're covered.
Yeah, I agree.
okay. Anybody else want it? If not, I'll take it.
I think it goes to you, Bob, and I make a motion that we approve Article 19 on the FY21 budget or town meeting.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Sheila?
Aye.
Art?
Aye.
Mr. Mish?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Okay. I think we're good. Laura? Can you think of anything else?
No, I guess the only thing just to mention that back to some of the cuts that weren't part of the budget process, the budget, just to mention, was at the combined meeting, they were talking about adding in open space signage to the special town meeting, roughly about $10,000. They decided they were not going to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that on the list. I was pretty sure we covered that on the list.
Did we cover it? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, okay. Just,
Okay.
I'd say, what date do we need to have these in? Would it be reasonable to say by Friday? to, or I don't know when she has to submit them. But we need to have them emailed to Robin by no later than Friday, say?
We should be able to get this done by Friday, I would think.
Yeah.
Any objection to that? Okay,
And then do we need to set a quick meeting to approve the pros and cons? Like, can we go next Monday or Tuesday and just, oh wait, Monday may be pushing it for Robin to compile everything.
we could do it at cocktail hour on Friday at 5.
I am amendable to that, Bob.
Oh, good, good. You know what? Let's see, tomorrow's Wednesday. Robin would have to post a meeting. I could probably do that. Let me ask Robin and see if she can post it.
She said it needs to be posted by June 9th, so we've got time.
Okay,
I just found her email.
okay. Okay. Should we just get it finished up then and go with next week with a meeting?
Sure. You want to do it Monday? I think Monday's fine.
Monday's good.
I can't meet on Monday. I have a prior meeting scheduled for 4 to
Okay.
7 p.m. But if no other date works, then feel free to meet without me.
And I may not be available on Monday, but it doesn't mean that Robin, and Mel can do it.
We shouldn't have any more financial questions because we'll call you.
Okay,
We'll call you by the end of the week if we do.
if you do, okay.
Okay.
Check with Robin, because I'm not sure if she's going to need it before then to get it at the printers.
Yeah. I think we go Monday or Tuesday, June 1 or June 2nd, and I can't believe I'm saying June.
Mhm.
I haven't even swum in the club yet. Okay. So we're good with that. I'll check with Robin. I'll have her let everybody know. And unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
So,
Okay. Okay. Roll call vote. Bob Horacek, aye. Linda?
Aye.
Noah?
aye.
Art?
Aye.
Mr. Mish?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
And Carrie?